We keep hearing how washed Michael Jordan was in his Wizards years. Let's find out how good was Michael Jordan in his Wizards years.
The hottest documentaries this year, even though the real last dance of Michael Jordan happened 5 years after the story in the doc. In 2001, Jordan unretired for the second time and suited up in a blue Wizards jersey. Some people say that his 2 Wizards years tarnished his legacy, and some praised MJ even more. So what's the real truth? And how good was Jordan in Washington? Was he really washed, or did he prove once more that he's the GOAT? Watch the rest of the video to find out. After the last dance. In 1998, MJ and Phil Jackson went to the karaoke bar. And Jordan chose The Careless Whisper by George Michael and sang, "I'm never gonna dance again, the way I danced with you," looking gently in Phil's direction. Okay, I totally made that up, but Jordan indeed said that he wouldn't be playing unless it's for Phil Jackson, since the Bulls GM Jerry Krause didn't want to re-sign Phil, and Scottie Pippen wanted to get...
That guy's an idiot. Why didn't he want to re-sign Phil Jackson? Why? They would have won more championships. When something works, don't change it. Keep doing what works.
His first massive paycheck, the Bulls fell apart, and MJ fulfilled his promise and retired for the second time. And then in January of 2000, Michael came back to the NBA, but he didn't wear a jersey. Instead, he slipped into a suit and tie as a minority owner and president of basketball operations for the Washington Wizards. The team was bad and finished that year with a 29-53 record.
Jeez, I wonder who was on the team at the time.
And they got even worse next year with 10 wins less. But there was hope on the horizon. They got the #1 pick. MJ had the chance to get a blue chip prospect, and he famously opted for Kwame Brown, #1 high.
I thought the Lakers drafted him for some reason. I knew it was a #1 pick, yes, but I thought the I'm gonna have to recheck my facts. This is how you need to do your research. All right, I'm talking to myself here.
High school player in the country. Jordan saw something in Kwame, and he believed he is the cornerstone that will immediately turn the Wizards into a winning ball club. Also, he knew a guy pretty good at basketball, a guy who was on the floor with the team in every practice, and who was itching to make another comeback. It's an itch that still needs to be scratched, and I want to make sure this itch doesn't bother me for the rest of my life. I'm just going to play the game of basketball that I love. It's not about the money. Indeed, it wasn't about the money. Jordan the GM gave Jordan the player the smallest salary on the Wizards. MJ gave...
What? He had the small salary on the Wizards. Did I hear that correctly? The Lakers got rid of LeBron because he didn't want to get paid less. He wanted more money. You guys, and you go get out of here. Disgusting.
It doesn't bother me for the rest of my life. I'm just going to play the game of basketball that I love. It's not about the money. Indeed, it wasn't about the money. Jordan the GM gave Jordan the player the smallest salary on the Wizards.
I heard that correctly.
MJ gave all of it to the victims of the 9/11 terrorist attack.
Wow, look at that. Look at that. But you guys want to bring up his gambling. You guys want to bring up Scottie Pippen. Irrelevant things.
It really was just about the game for him. And because of that competitive fire that never ceased to burn, and that voice in the head who kept telling him he is still better than the young guys who took over the league from him.
Whoa, what's that? I just built a budgeting app in Base 44. Guys, needed to...
How good were the Wizards? The Wizards had a young Richard Hamilton, who was in his 3rd year, and who was turning to be one of the most promising shooting guards in the league. And that was about it when it comes to quality players with potential. The rest were either older veterans on their way out, or young role players. Of course, there was also Kwame Brown, who, by the time the season started, was already crushed by Jordan, insulted him at any chance he got. Jordan never changed his ways. And just like
Kwame Brown, man. Kwame Brown's a good YouTube channel. It speaks a lot of facts about the narratives they keep pushing and the way black players are treated versus white players is evident. And Stephen A. Smith he's one of those that will do that. If
trash talked all of his opponents, teammates, and Jerry Krause, he was maybe even worse to Kwame. A 19-year-old kid couldn't take it, and he played with zero confidence and was basically unusable on the court. Nobody on the team averaged more than 10 points that year, other than Rip Hamilton and Jordan. The Wizards were the same team that won 19 games the year prior, plus Jordan and Kwame. MJ thought it would be enough to be competitive, but he overstated his team and himself. Return of the Mac. Before the season, Jordan was working tirelessly to get himself in shape. He trained every day with his personal trainer, Tim Grover, and held private training camps.
Tim Grover... Well, who did he train? Kobe Bryant, Dwayne Wade, all the greats. And one of his books I really like, I forget the name of it. What's the name of that book? It talks about like the cleaner, the closer. Anyways, his book is great. I'll look it up and make sure I have it in the description.
Various NBA players to get himself in game shape. So, the season started. Jordan wasn't rusty. In the first 2 weeks of the season, Jordan scored over 30 in 4 of his 8 games. In the 9th, he poured 44 on the Jazz, picking up right where he left off in 1998. After the first 10 games, he averaged 27.4 points, 0.3 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 steals.
What? Let me go back. So the book is Relentless. That's the book I'm speaking of. Relentless.
6.3 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 steals. And it seemed like he had never left, as his stats were virtually the same to the 1998 regular season. He was in the MVP race and made it easy for the world to fall in love with him once again. However, his play wasn't reflected in the team record. The Wizards only notched 2 games in the win column. They started the season 5-12 and were at the bottom of the Eastern Conference. Also, Jordan's stellar play at the beginning of the season wasn't sustainable at the age of 38. He was still Michael Jordan, but he wasn't Air Jordan anymore, or at least not all the time. And even though his totals were still looking good, Mike became an inefficient volume scorer on a bad team. He shot 40% in those first 17 games, a landslide from his career average of 50%.
Okay, and you gotta bring things into context. During that time, it was the dead ball era. The 2000s was the worst time to score. You weren't getting as many buckets in transition. A lot of your opponents were in the half court, which means that you had to create a lot of your shots because of the defensive rules during that time. Teams average less than 100 points during that time. That's why his numbers were lower in terms of efficiency. So let's not blow it out of context. Let's not say, oh, it's because he was older. No, it's also because he played during that time in the dead ball era. The 2000s, 2000 to 2010 was the worst time to score. And I think that you'll be 50-90 if you want to score a lot of points, because it was a different time during that time. People need to bring that up because it wasn't the same as the 90s. As much as the 90s had good defense, in the 2000s, it was more physical and it was the dead ball era. 2000s, 90s, and then every other era in terms of defense.
MJ was still fundamentally sound. He could still see every play, and he was still 6'6", strong and confident, but he didn't have the same speed, and he didn't have the legs under him to shoot efficiently. But if anything about Jordan, that he hates losing.
That wasn't really it. That wasn't really it. Shoot efficiently. Guys, stop using that. That's overblown. Efficiently. Overblown. Ray Allen shot 45% from the field. Ray Allen. One of the best shooters ever. You think if he played in the 2020s, those numbers wouldn't be higher? He had a couple of the 40-90 seasons. But for his career, 45% from the field. He played most of his career during the 2000s. The greatest scorers of the 2000s were not shooting 50% from the floor. Besides maybe the power forwards and centers. They were not. Okay, you go to LeBron James. What was he shooting in the 2000s? Was he shooting 50% from the field? He was not. And if we break down the numbers even more, outside of shots inside of 3 feet, he's shooting like 35%. So stop with this efficiency thing. Look at the player. Look at how they play and what era they played in. Those are the things you need to put into account. You cannot compare eras like that. You can't. It's not a plug and play type of thing. It's not a plug and play type of thing. All these guys shooting 50, 40, 90s now would not be shooting 50, 40, 90 during this time. They wouldn't be.
More than anything. After those 17 games and a 5-12 record, the Wizards won 9 in a row. Then they lost a couple. And in the second of those 2 losses, Jay had the worst game of his career. In 25 minutes on the floor, he shot 2 out of 10. And finished the game with 6 points. Snapped his record 866 game streak of double-figure scoring. The media went ballistic. After the game, Jordan was down on himself. On the bus ride from the arena, he sat next to Doug Collins, whom he hired to be the coach. Asked him, "Do you think I can still play?" Collins said, "Of course. I took you out because we were down by 25 in the 4th and wanted to keep you fresh for the next game." MJ was satisfied and said he did the right thing, but he needed the confirmation and the assurance that his coach still believed in his abilities. 2 nights later, he responded in a big way. He scored the first 3 times he had the ball, and he finished the game with 51 points, going 21 for 38 from the field. He was the oldest player ever to score 50 in an NBA game. He followed that up with a 45-point, 10 rebounds, 7 assists, 3-steal effort against the New Jersey Nets, including scoring 22 points.
And during this time, these points meant more. Somebody scoring 40 now doesn't mean HIT because it's easier to score now. There's no defense now. There's more rules that favor the offensive player. Offensive players can take 5 steps now. They can change their pivot feet. They can foul bait. They can flop. Now they're talking about implementing a 1 free throw rule. Is currently in trial. So basically, if you get fouled on a 2-point shot, if you shoot a free throw and make it, it's worth 2 points. If you get fouled on the 3-point line, you go to the free throw line and make that free throw, it's worth 3 points. But if you miss, it's worth nothing. They're trying to do that. They're trying to give these offensive players so much more advantages than they already have. So 20, 30, 40, 50-point games during this time meant more than the ones now. Someone can come off the bench now and score 50. Not because of how great they are, because of how bad the defense is.
Row during one stretch. In the game against the Cavaliers, the Wizards were down by a point with 1.6 seconds left. Michael then hit a mid-range jumper for the last buzzer beater of his career. In a game against his former club, after enduring Ron Mercer's trash talk and having his jumper blocked, he responded by pinning Mercer's layup against the backboard with 2 hands and trash-talking him on the way back up the court. It was a game-winning play, and one of the most spectacular blocks by Jordan, or anyone for that matter. It was even more impressive that it was done by a 39-year-old who spent his last 3 years playing golf, drinking, and smoking cigars. By the end of the season, Jordan notched back-to-back 40-point games, and also 4 more games where he failed to reach double figures. And that's where the answer lies about Jordan's time with the Wizards. He could still play, and yes, he could still be dominant, but it wasn't the dominance we grew accustomed to, and it didn't happen every game. Jordan finished the year early due to a knee injury that required surgery, and the Wizards didn't make the playoffs with a 37-45 record.
And that's the context people ever want to bring up. He had the season-ending injury. There you go. It should have ended the discussion. They didn't make the playoffs because they had the season-ending injury. They never want to bring that up. They want to just nitpick, make the guy look better. It's desperation. It's straight up desperation. Straight up.
MJ played 60 games in the 2001-02 season, and he averaged 23 points, 5.7 rebounds, and 5.2 assists. Those numbers look great in a vacuum, but when you look at Jordan's efficiency, you can quickly tell he didn't
Stop with the bullshit efficiency. Use another talking point.
Have an overly successful season. Jordan took 22 shots per game, far more than he should have for a player shooting 41% from the floor and 19% from 3. He was second to last in effective field goal percentage out of all players who qualified for the stat, and 169th out of 177 qualified for true scoring percentage.
Hey, I need to launch a campaign in 2 weeks.
Let's see. The real Last Dance. In the offseason, Jordan the GM wanted to help Jordan the player. He traded the best young player on the team, Rip Hamilton, for a more experienced Jerry Stackhouse. Trading away Hamilton was a mistake, and Jordan once again proved his short-sightedness in making decisions. The team wasn't that much better, and the season went pretty much the same as the last. Jordan, who was a year older and was battling a lingering knee injury, still had some juice left, but he had to squeeze.
Bring that context. He had a knee injury. It wasn't because, oh, he's old and, oh, he lost lift and all this stuff they want to add. If somebody is not as effective as they were and you're telling me that they're hurt, duh. Like, I don't understand people. Back to the Kobe Bryant thing with him in the finals in 2010, right? They talk about his shooting numbers, how they were down, but they don't mention he had a fractured finger. I challenge you, imagine if you had a fractured finger, broken finger, whatever the case may be. Wouldn't that affect your ability to dribble, pass, and shoot the ball? Yes or no? So when people make arguments, then they never want to bring context. It's desperation. If you're confident in your statements, bring all the facts. All the facts. Because it's just surface level. It's just surface level field goal percentage. It's a surface level thing. You're not bringing all the facts in front. You're just saying it, and out of that, narratives are pushed.
Really hard to get a full cup. It didn't happen all the time. He scored over 43 times, becoming the first 40-year-old to score over 40 in an NBA game. He also had 7 more games where he failed to score 10 points. His defense wasn't at the level it once was, and numerous players took the opportunity to put up numbers against Jordan, something that was unimaginable in previous years. Kobe dropped 55 on him after Jordan taunted him that he could wear the shoes, but could never fill them.
Kobe dropped 50 on anyone, right? He dropped 50, and if Shaq wasn't there, he would have doubled his 50-point games. He has 25, maybe 26. If he didn't play a Shaq, that number would add 10 more to that number.
Kobe was more rational with his shots in the second year and shot 44% from the floor, and it was enough for 20 points, 6 rebounds, and 3.8 assists for the season. Jordan played in all 82 games. But once again, the team went 37-45 and didn't make the playoffs. The highlight of the year was definitely the All-Star game, where MJ was selected as a reserve. After he rejected the offer from Allen Iverson and Tracy McGrady to take their starting spots, he ultimately accepted it from Vince Carter. At halftime,
how did Vince Carter do it? I'm wondering, how did he do it to get him on?
Mariah Carey performed a special tribute to him, donning dresses of both his rookie year Bulls jersey and his final year Wizards jersey, as his career highlights played on giant screens behind her. It was a proper send-off, worthy of a star that was Michael Jordan. In the game itself, MJ didn't shoot it particularly well, but he did score 20 points, and most importantly, hit a tough fall-away jumper over Sean Marion to give the East the lead with less than 5 seconds to play. It appeared to be a game winner, but the West scored again and prevailed in overtime. Still, Jordan proved that he still belongs with the best players in the world, at least for one game, even though it was clear he wasn't the best anymore. A mediocre dessert to a great meal. If you want a recap of Jordan's time with the Wizards, you'll get different answers, depending on who you ask. Jerry Stackhouse said that he wished he had never played in Washington, because everything was still going through Michael Jordan, even though it was obvious he wasn't the same player anymore. Kwame Brown was miserable during Jordan's years there, and his career would have certainly been better if he didn't play with MJ as a 19-year-old.
Really? I don't believe that. I don't believe that. That's a bit of a stretch.
Wizards owner Abe Pollin wasn't thrilled with Jordan either. He relieved him of his GM duties shortly after the last season of Jordan as a player. If we compare Jordan's last years to some of the other NBA greats, we'll see some similarities. The greatest players who ever did it, if they took care of their bodies, were still extremely effective at an advanced age. Tim Duncan was named to the All-NBA and All-Defensive team in 2015 at the age of 39. Kareem made the first team All-NBA in 86, also age 39. And he averaged 26 points in the playoffs that year. Karl Malone averaged 28 and 5 at the age of 39. So it's not unusual that Jordan was still able to play. But maybe the best quote about Jordan's Wizards years came from his agent, David Falk. I just don't think it was a good dessert to a great meal. In the words of De La Soul, Mike was certified hot, and then he dropped to lukewarm. However, that last 2 years didn't affect his legacy. And the unathletic Jordan, who had to pump fake 3 times to get a separation for a shot, was soon forgotten. People like to remember the good things. And the lasting image of Jordan will always be that shot over Russell and celebrating his 6th title with a cigar in his mouth.
I don't know. The video seemed like this almost. I don't know. Good video, but the vibes I'm getting is different. I don't know. I'm not really a fan of that. Well, what are your thoughts? Let me know in the comment section. Stay tuned for more reaction videos. Like, share, subscribe. God bless.